Hello, hello. It's a Tuesday. We haven't done a live thing in ages on a Tuesday. It's normally on a Monday. Look who's here. It's Piccia Neri. How are you?
I am so well, and even though I have muted the site, it didn't go mute. I opened because I wanted to comment. As you can see, I've already commented, and I wanted to mute site. Do it,
Yeah,
please.
it's
Yeah,
really
it's starting
disconcerting
now.
actually. If you
It's,
ever do a live like this, the audio comes back at you
yeah,
about 20 seconds in the
exactly.
past, and it's kind of like, oh, it's a bit discombobulating. I tend to just
It's
shut it all down, make it go away in that way. But
No,
anyway,
but I wanted to both wanted to comment and say hello everyone, we're
yeah,
back after
yeah,
so
yeah,
long.
yeah. This
So
is
that's
great.
why
So
I had it there.
we used to do this show like back in, I don't know, when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. Look at both of us with the grey hair, and it was a long time ago. And we sort of had a bit of a hiatus. It was
We
COVID
did.
and all that sort of stuff,
Ex-
and so we took a break, and then Peter and I got together again. I don't know, December, November last year, and thought let's bring it back because it was fun whilst we did it, and we got a
So much fun.
slightly different format to it. But the idea of this show is that Peter, I am literally no expert. I know nothing. You could get more design out of a potato than you could out of me. If you put a mouse near a potato and turned on Photoshop and just pushed the potato around a bit, I suspect it would make a better website than I would. But but that's not true of Peacher. She's ever so good at this, and so the intention of
Oh,
this show is
thank you.
every month we'll do a live show, and the idea is that we just show a couple of sites. Perhaps we'll get some user submitted ones, perhaps not. And Petra will make a decision, and she's just going to sort of dissect them, look at them, find good things, favourable things to say, and perhaps some areas of concern as well. So yeah, you're happy with the new format? It'll be all right, I think.
I am delighted with it. And actually, I know that we are just going to do it, even if we get just, the wonderful Meg is with us, but, even
Thank you,
if it's
Meg.
like the three of us and that's it, we're still going to do it because
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
missed
It's
it so much.
I.
I think that over COVID, we were all so zoomed out. The digital intake was overwhelming because even real world people, such as our family and friends, became digital. So we were like, I can't do that. But anyway, I'd like to point out that you don't have grey hair. You have platinum ringlets. It really is important to make a differentiation.
I'm totally warming to the idea of platinum ringlets. Yeah, platinum. That's good. Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
You're hiding them now, but those are ringlets. I know.
Underneath
I've
there
seen
somewhere
them.
is a platinum ringlet. I actually found a dark one the other day. I had one single sort of dark pre-grey hair, and I was
God
extremely
forbid.
pleased with myself. And I just said, "I'm not grey." There's one clinging on for dear life, but it had
No,
fallen
I was
out.
gonna
So
say you. Well, that's it. I was gonna say I hope you pulled it out
I
because
did.
you
I did.
can't ruin the
that's,
perfection
that's
of
right.
your silver
Oh,
mane.
yeah.
And it's
Let's
not
do a
even silver; it's better
let,
than that.
let's do a
Anyway,
little bit of
I do
housekeeping
feel
just
we
before we begin.
digress.
We have digressed, but it's fun. Let's do some housekeeping just before we begin. We're going to do this every month, and so maybe if you go to wpbuilds.com/UI, if you want to drop in there, there's a form, and that form will enable you to put your site forward. And really, Peach's advice comes at with many years of experience behind it. She's not somebody who's just sort of making this up. There's a lot of psychology and education that's gone into all this. And if you would like some project that you're working on to be looked at by Peacher, you're going to get some high quality information back. So go to wpbuilds.com/UI. I'll put that logo on in a minute, but and then submit the form. It's the simplest of forms. There's like 4 or 5 fields, including address and URL and what you would like to get out of it. And you never know. If we do this in next month, you might very well be the person whose site is featured. Just a couple of things around the commenting system. If there is anybody watching this live, that's lovely. Thank you, Meg. We know that you're there at least. But the URL that I would encourage anybody to share is wpbuilds.com/live. So, Meg, for example, if you felt like just pushing us to one side for a minute and opening up Twitter or Facebook and writing something, wpbuilds.com/live would be the place to do that. And once more, wpbuilds.com/UI if you would like to get your site featured. Okay, that's my housekeeping done, Piccia. Are we?
Well done.
Thank
Well
you. I
done.
feel quite pleased with myself. Do you want me to
Yeah,
share your screen right away, or is there some preamble that you want to go through?
I'm definitely preambling, you know me.
Okay.
So no, I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to say that people used to see me on Facebook quite a bit, and I had a group there as well, which I don't know whether I've archived yet. Because you can't, did you know you can't really close a group or
No, it's
delete
hard.
it?
Yeah.
I know. And anyway, for a number of reasons, I'm not really on Facebook anymore. I'm not deleting my profile simply because I still need it for work reasons. It's not possible to really delete your profile these days, but I doubt I'll ever properly use Facebook again for a host of reasons. These days, if you want to converse with me about design and things like that, you can do it on LinkedIn, and believe it or not, maybe even on Twitter. I'm starting to find my feet. I've been on Twitter for 15 years. I recently had my 15th Twitter birthday. And as you can tell by my handle, because my Twitter handle is at Piccia. I mean, there's me and Jack, really, that have the first name as the handle. But I've always been a lurk. I mean, I've hardly ever opened it until maybe a couple of years ago. And I've been lurking on it. And now I'm realizing that it's actually a really good place to have very good conversations on a number of things. If you avoid, you can mute and block, that's helpful because the toxicity, Maggie's saying you're definitely becoming a Twitter babe because the wonderful Mag fan is hosting every Monday. Actually, can I do a little plug?
Oh, yeah,
Of
we go. Yeah.
Mag Space. Mag has been kind enough to invite me to co-host her Twitter Space. Do you know what a Twitter Space is?
Not
It's
really.
basically, I didn't until Meg told me. And she told me in December, maybe November. So it's not like I've known for a long time. A Twitter Space is what Clubhouse was trying to do. It's basically just sound only. Meg set up her Twitter Space. She has it every Monday at 4:30 UK time, so 4:30 GMT. And it's a creativity Twitter space. And every week there's a different theme. Like last week, we talked about how to use our imagination and creativity and strategies and motivation and inspiration to pull us through January, which in the Northern Hemisphere is not the easiest of months. And the time before we talked about gratitude. I mean, it's quite varied. And basically, you just join the Twitter space at the time that it's on, and you sit on top of your Twitter screen on your mobile. And there's a host and a co-host, which is what I am, and a speaker. You can also raise your hand and ask to speak. And it's just a conversation, and it's incredible how polite people are. It's just extraordinary, and I love it. And I've now realized I follow and learn a lot from Twitter conversations. So you'll find me on Twitter, and you'll definitely also find me on LinkedIn. And once you know my name, Piccia Neri, you can find me anywhere, which is also slightly unnerving sometimes. So yes, so not on Facebook anymore, Twitter and LinkedIn. And regarding the fact that I talk about other people's websites and do reviews and audits, I also want to say that I keep working at this. I never stop learning. I keep studying, looking at things, changing my mind, and also I'm quite harsh with myself. If I go back to stuff that I designed, I don't always like it, or I realize that I made mistakes because I didn't know yet, and then I learned, and I sort of now knew, and I wouldn't do it again. So I'm the first one to put myself on the line if necessary, and I don't by any means think that I am the repository of any specific particular wisdom. But I want to say that I do have a topic that is specifically very close to my heart at the moment, and we'll talk about it a bit today. It's been like this it's been the same topic for a while, and now it's going to be my main concern, and it's accessibility for a number of reasons, but also because I really would like to change the conversation about it and make sure that it becomes what responsiveness was a few years ago. Do you remember, Nathan,
Yeah, it
when
was
we
huge.
were all like
Yeah.
thinking, oh God, we've got to be responsive now. And there was a slight was, oh, really? As if it wasn't hard enough. And then you would usually, correct me if I'm wrong, but you would build a website first and then make it responsive.
Right.
And now that's sort of responsive from the word go, and you don't even discuss with the client. There isn't a separate budget about responsiveness. It's a given. You don't even discuss it. If you create a website, it will be responsive. And if it isn't, you're not doing your job properly. And I would like for this to happen with accessibility, that in a few years, accessibility is what responsiveness is now. That is to say, inbuilt and part of it. And yeah, it's a big thing for me also because even though I don't identify as disabled, I have a few disabilities, minor ones that affect me on an everyday basis. And I'm also really trying to get people to understand that we are all disabled at one point. And there'll be a point in our day where we are disabled, where everyone is, because I don't know, you're holding a child in one arm or you're driving your car. There are a million situations where you need an accessible website. And again, for instance, apart from the fact that right now I have 3 websites and I want to run away screaming from them because I hate all 3 of them. So don't go and check my websites because they're
Shocking. Shocking, you were going to say,
oh,
wasn't
God, you were so clever. I was definitely going to say shocking.
it? Something not shocking.
So whenever I examine sounds wrong on a number of levels, but whenever I look at a website that I haven't designed is with always huge admiration for the amount of work that went into it. Because also, as anyone who's ever designed or created anything online knows, we have to contend with a host of requests and obligations, and we don't always end up with the products that we'd like. Anyway, I should really stop rambling. I mean,
Oh, no. No.
you're here to facilitate my rants, but also
That's right.
them.
That's what I'm here for. No. I think that's good. So we've learned that you're off social media. You prefer Twitter now. I literally don't understand Twitter. I can
It takes a
basically
while.
send a tweet, but I get lost in the whole replying business. But anyway, so yeah, shall we crack on? How many have we got for this particular episode? Is it 2 websites? Or?
No, I have a few topics that I want to touch on. So
Okay.
I have a few tabs open and
All right.
we'll have a chat. Yeah.
Shall I share your screen in that case?
Please do.
Okay. I by the way, what I'm about to show you, super cool. I didn't pick it. I've only seen it for the last 10 seconds. Peaches picked up beauty. Look at this.
I love it so much. I was so happy when this came out. And I actually wish I remembered. No, that's it. That's all right.
Yeah, that's good.
I wish I remembered what Gumroad looked like before, but I have a feeling it looked a little bit like Gumtree, or Craigslist. It didn't look, I've never really used it. It didn't look great. Now, this is beautiful. And as I'm looking at the logo up there, I've actually noticed a couple of things that are not entirely accessible, but I think it's allowed because I think this is their logo. So if you look at the logo, you can see that. Can you see something that's slightly odd?
Okay, let me see if I can figure out what you might be thinking about. There's a capital D and a capital G.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
something to do with that?
yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
It's because people with various forms of cognitive uh, impairments or differences, who experience the world in a different way, may be confused by the fact that there's a capital letter at the beginning that is not taller than the rest of the letters, and the letter at the end again is as tall as the rest. So it could be a little bit confusing, but then again, it's a logo, so I think that's allowed. And I
Hmm.
just love how bold and big it is, and I love the simplicity of it, and I love the bold block colors, and I love the typography. There is so little that I don't love about this, isn't it? It's just, sorry, it's amazing. And
Yeah,
I
it
actually do,
instantly caught my attention. I mean, you showed it to me literally like 2 minutes ago, and the logo in particular, it's dominating what, a third of the page, and it's full width and it's massive, and it's just so bold, and I personally love it. I'm really drawn to it. But anyway, I'll be
yeah.
quiet and let you
I love
carry
it
on.
too. No, no, don't be quiet, please, because also, I mean, the pink and the yellow, it doesn't make it at all. Even though it's pink and yellow, and there's a woman here, it doesn't make it in any way feminine or anything like that. It's just a big bold block color because there is so much else that is arresting. And so I would like to point out a few things about this. Now, first of all, I've seen it classified as a brutalist uh, design. So brutalist design is design that's strict to the bare minimum. And you think, a website in 1995 would have been like that because it was just mostly a list of styled text and links. It wasn't much more. That's what brutalist design means in terms of web design. However, or even a little bit GeoCities kind of style, but
Yeah.
that's going the other end. That's going the other end. But I'm not sure that this is the case. I mean, it reminds me of Mondrian, doesn't it?
Mm.
Big squares and black and white and blocks of color, and I absolutely love it. And I love how go from $0 to $1 with Gumroad. Anyone can earn the first dollar online. Just start with what you know, see what sticks, and get paid. It's that easy. Start selling. I mean, if I've never been on Gumroad, it tells me that this is somewhere I can sell my stuff, my gear. So whatever that is, I can, and it tells me I can experiment and so on. So I really, really like this. And you know why I love this? Because if you go onto a website such as the awards website, which is the awww.ords.com, that one, is full of websites that are incredibly creative and so imaginative with incredible artwork, just really, really amazing and unusable because they absolutely overwhelm you with the amount of stuff that's moving and creative tooltips and all that. And while they are a feast of human skill and imagination, they're not usable. But I'm sorry, the web is to be used. Unless you do something that is just a piece of art, you need to be able to use it. And this does it so well. And look, do you remember my usual rants? What's this? What's this?
Float left was your usual run.
Exactly.
You need it to be aligned left,
Aligned. So
and it
it
is.
starts really well. Yeah, it is, but unfortunately doesn't carry on.
Oh.
So I have my only issue with this bit is that here you've got this that doesn't stop. I mean, it's very, very slow, but why? Why have it moving? And if you want to have something that moves, you've got to make it possible for me to stop it because otherwise it's not going to be accessible for a number of reasons. The Meg wants the URL. I can give it to her. Where
I've
is
got it. It
Meg?
was. Let me just put. Is this the awards? Oh, is this Gumroad or the awards one?
I don't know which one she
The
wants. I'm
awards
sure she
one,
wants
Meg,
the awards one.
is that one.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
imagine
one.
www, as in the World Wide Web,
Yeah.
in the
And
middle
I
of awards.
and I always go because it's such a source of inspiration for visual inspiration. But then I've hardly ever found a site that didn't drive me crazy or do my head, make me motion sick. So I don't know. I mean, what does this strip here add? Nothing really. It's just something that's moving, and I can't stop it. So if you want it here because you like it, but you should make it possible for me to stop it. Because also, what a screen reader is going to do is it's gonna get stuck on see what sticks, see what sticks, see what sticks, see what sticks, and you have to think in terms of what a screen reader is going to do once it hits here.
Yeah,
So
good point. Yeah.
so basically, with center text, that's another, you've heard me rant about center text so many times. And here I am again, because I honestly don't understand why it's used. I mean, is it a wedding invitation? Is it, Nathan?
Is it what? Sorry.
Is this a wedding invitation?
Oh, no, this is a Gumroad website.
Oh, well, there you go. So there is no need for you to center it unless it's a wedding invitation. So, and when people say, "Oh, but it looks better," I mean, I can't really do anything else. It's like, no, it's not true. This works.
Yeah,
I'm
that does
already
work.
feeling. I am already feeling better. I am already feeling better,
Do you know what
and
this
because
website reminds me of? This is ridiculous. It reminds me of Adventure Time, the cartoon. You've
I
probably
don't
never
know
seen
Adventure
Adventure
Cycles.
Time.
No, because maybe I haven't. I don't have children, so maybe that's why.
It's like this website, basically. Yeah.
I love it. And I tell you one thing that's great that I mean, don't tell me that this works better. It just does. And even here, look, even if apart from the fact there's no need for this to be in the center, it could be at the side because it could be at the side. But if I do it again here,
So for those of you that are listening to this, Peach is
I love
she's
the
correcting
typography by the way.
she's correcting center aligned text to make it left aligned. Oh, there you go.
And proving to you that it's
Meg's
easier
agreeing
to
with
read.
me. She says it's a lot like Adventure Time. Yeah, there you
Great.
go.
There you go.
Hmm.
She's got 3 children. So center text is really difficult to read because if someone with some visual issues there's no anchor to the text. And as actually, I've prepared another example that really shows what I mean because I don't. It's not. And I mean, I actually found today. I was looking at an old educational project that I did about 10 years ago for the British Film Institute. And you know what, Nathan?
Go
Do you
on.
know what? Should I tell you?
It was
It was a,
center aligned.
it was a Genesis theme, and the homepage was center aligned. So here I am. Here I am.
Learning,
Hands
learning.
up. Learning. And also, for instance, I used to be a book designer. I've designed literally hundreds of books, and I've centered titles in the frontispiece many times. So but when you start look here, they've not centered, and I'll tell you why they haven't, because it's a list. If you don't center a list, if you center a list, it looks terrible.
Oh, it
So
really
they
looks terrible. Yeah.
exactly. So that's your thing. But anyway, look how cool this website is. Let's go back to what the things that it does so well, because it's a very simple layout. It's not trying to wow us in any way because it doesn't need to. It's telling us sell anything, video lessons, physical products, whatever. You can sell anything. And here you've got testimonials, all in the same style. It, isn't it this great? I just love it. Sell to anyone. It explains what you can do, blah, blah, blah. And one thing that I have started doing in my, I was going to say, I can say bugger. Bugger's fine, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, well, I've said it. So I didn't because I was in Firefox because it works better. I haven't got the Wave the Wave plugin installed to show accessibility, and that is
Wave is a
yeah,
plugin like a Firefox and presumably Chrome extension, which gives you pointers on where you might be falling down in terms of accessibility, right?
yeah. That is annoying.
Is it free?
It is completely free. And I had based some of the things that I wanted to say on that. So maybe I could use Firefox instead
Is
because
it
I have
this
it
one? Is it
there.
at this URL? Is it the waveaim.org? Is it that one? Wave
It has to be.
Accessibility Evaluation Tool.
Maybe I could just install it quickly.
You can do. If it'll
I
work.
mean, we're hearing.
Can I just say the slogan on the top of that website I find really curious. It's the most over enthusiastic or over promising slogan, isn't it? Go from $0 to $1. It's not often you hear something like go from zero to $1. Normally it's like go from 0 to $1 million or something like that. They're just trying to coax you in the idea of earning your first
That is
dollar.
very
I
true.
find that really curious. They're not trying to wow anybody with ill-conceived promises. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Is it
That's
working?
yeah, I think I've got it already. So it has been added. So why it showed?
You might have to
Why
refresh
is
the
it gone?
page in order for Gumroad to be picked up, because it'll probably add something to the DOM, which it won't be.
Yeah, although I don't see the
The little icon.
extension icon. Yeah,
Oh, again, in
they've
Chrome,
added
they
it.
changed that. If you don't use Chrome very much, there's a little,
No.
like it looks like a jigsaw puzzle piece right near the end.
Oh yeah. Oh
And if you click
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
scroll down and mark next to the extension that you
Yeah. The
wish,
one
mark it
that
as
I
pinned. So the pin will turn red. And then once you've done that, it should hopefully then appear as one of your
absolutely. So that's
icons.
quite
There you go. You
cool.
didn't turn up to learn about Chrome extensions, but yeah, you have now.
There you go. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I'm sure quite a few people, maybe other people found it useful. So that's one thing. So basically, Wave shows you. So the interesting thing with this is a tool to check accessibility on websites, and I've only recently started using it, and it's endlessly fascinating because even some accessibility websites get a few errors and also there are things that it doesn't pick up on. Some things it does pick up on, and others it doesn't really. So zero contrast errors. So all the colors are great. There are errors, there are alerts, but really this is not very much. It's really, if you get 3 alerts, it's nothing. Even 9 errors isn't very much. So, and then when you look at the errors, I mean, there's error and error. It says one linked image, missing alternative text. Also, not every image needs alternative text. One missing form label. So a label, there's a form without a label.
Yep.
And 6 empty links. And you can also tells you where. So
Oh, look at
sometimes
that.
it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't. See, this is not really a mistake, is it? So
No.
sometimes it picks up on things like on one of my websites, it picks the moment in which the transparent header it becomes there's a moment where you can't see because it becomes from transparent to solid. So it picks that as an error, but it's not.
It's
That's not enough.
transitioning from one. Okay, yeah.
So sometimes, I mean, suspicious link text or so it's not, it's really not, these are not real issues. But what I wanted to show you is that and I'm going to go into the blog. So let's ignore the center text for a minute. I'll shut up about it. But if you look at this, and if I click on Wave again, I love this. Look how clear and this is. I mean, okay, an issue that it has now is that this is way too wide.
I was thinking that it needs to be like
Way too
what,
wide.
8
I
words
mean,
or something, typically, something like
it
that, isn't
should
it?
be a maximum, at the very maximum, 75 characters, and I'm sure this is
Yeah.
much more. But still, the way, I mean, they've designed this just with typography, even though I would much prefer a smart quote here. But I love this typeface, and they've designed with typography. It leads you in with different sizes. They're using type hierarchy. They're using, you know, they're using it correctly, apart from the line length, because I am using a very wide window, but it should be in. It
Yeah,
should
should be
be.
constrained by, I
It
don't know,
should
some
be
pixel
constrained by
measurement or something. Yeah.
a
I
container. But if
typically
I,
I typically go for about 800 pixels. I don't know if that's overdoing
yeah,
it, but
that's good.
it feels like
It's a little bit, it's a little bit narrow, but I mean, it really
okay.
depends also on what typeface you're using, the type
Right.
size. There is no real. I find that, for instance, 75 characters for me is already too long, because I think I'm a late ADHD bloomer. I lose my focus so rapidly.
It's
Anyway,
interesting
so
as well,
this is,
just to butt into that. I've been
yeah,
habituated over the last decade on a Kindle. Everything that I read that's not on a screen, on a computer screen, is done on a Kindle. I read all books and what have you on a Kindle. It's really narrow. It's like the width of your palm or something, you know. And you hardly have to move your eye at all. So
yeah.
whilst it takes only a few seconds to complete one of their pages, your eye hardly has to go from left to right at all. And I find it really, when I hold a normal sized book, I am totally conscious that my eyes are going from left to right much,
Yeah.
much more. So anyway, there you go. That's an aside.
I I don't like. I mean, I read on a Kindle if I'm traveling. Otherwise, I much prefer physical books. But
Hmm.
sometimes, if a book comes out and I want to read it, and I go, and it's still the either hardback, or, you know, the big format that they tend to, before it comes out in a pocket size,
Yeah.
I can't buy it. I won't be able to read it. I mean, I literally won't be. I will be get distracted before I get to the end of the page. It's a bit ridiculous, but anyway, I want to show you, because one really important thing aspect of accessibility is to use your HTML markup correctly, and especially headings. And I am very big into designing with typography. I have a course on it, and I will relaunch it with an accessibility angle. So that's super interesting to me, and I love the fact that good typography is good accessibility and good SEO, because if you use your headings and you structure your text properly, that's really good for SEO as well. So this, look how great this structure is. It's got one H1, it's got a few H2s, and that's fine, that's completely allowed. And then it goes, each H2 is subdivided into H3s, and nowhere, and I mean nowhere have they used a heading to style bigger text. They just haven't done it. Everything
Hmm.
that should be a heading is a heading. And that's just lovely. It just is. And now I'm going to show you a website that doesn't do that, and you see the difference. And I do this with a certain reluctance, because, like I said, you know, this is unsolicited advice. These people, I don't know the people who designed the website. They did lots of lovely things. And you know, they might say, who are you to judge our website? But I am just saying it in a really objective way. So this is a website that I found because I follow a guy called Type Wolf, who talks about typography. And he, every day, he has a site of the day, and that's about, because it has great typography. And I have to say that I love him, and I bought his stuff, and he is great. But the sites that he recommends that they often have lovely typography, like this one has, but they hardly ever are accessible. And
Okay.
I'm afraid,
Yep.
I mean, so much stuff has come up with this. I mean, this is lovely design, lovely feel to it. It's really aspirational. It's so spring-like. It makes me feel happy. And then it's got this tooltip that is not. Can you see it? No, you can't actually see the tooltip.
We saw the modal pop up where they tried to grab your email address, but
Yeah,
beyond
which
that,
again is not. But if you so look at this, look at what we saw earlier. So you see this again. There are so many things that it's impossible for me to stop. So
yeah, I
many
can.
people will be seriously put off with this. And also, if this is a video background, and therefore a it has no SEO value, because you can't alt text a video, can you? Not as far. Can you alt text a video? No, you can. If I said something stupid, probably
No,
not. No,
I don't know, but it's quite jarring
I
that
don't think
it's
you
on a very
can.
short little time lapse, isn't it? And like 5 seconds after it's begun, it goes back to the
Yeah,
beginning, and it's like there. It's just quite sudden.
yeah. And all this stuff that moves and that I can't stop. And then if you, the reason why headings are important for accessibility is that if you are someone who can't see, when you first visit your website, your screen reader can line up all the headings. So you line up all the headings and you decide whether what you're interested in that on that page and whether you want to go through. Now so that's also why you need one heading one that tells you what the page is about, and then you can break down the topic. But look at this here. If I look, I mean, look for this.
What is
The
that?
errors, because this is a video and it shouldn't be there. So that's an
Oh, I
error. So,
see. Okay, so
yeah,
this is the overlay that
but
we're seeing now is to do with the wave accessibility.
no,
Okay.
exactly. It is. So look at how big. I mean, look how much it doesn't like background videos.
Yeah, it's
If
really
you're
not
watching,
enjoying that.
if you need to have a background video, at least make it stoppable. Do not have a video that plays that can't be stopped. But look at this. Look at the structure. They're all H1. These are all
Oh,
H1s.
oh, oh.
It's
Yeah,
just
that's definitely not allowed.
not allowed. Not only that, but also if you want to use caps, you should do it with a lot of care, but you should never just type in with your cap locks blocked, because a screen reader is gonna probably, almost certainly, spell it out. So not only is it gonna get stuck on this strip that never stops, but it will also be doing PLASTIC hyphen FREE. I mean, not very good. So this is why I'm saying, and it's many more people than you think are using, the famous point, do blind people visit my website? Well, yeah, they do. Anyway, I don't want to, so also let me just go back to the things that are lovely about this. The typeface is lovely, the idea of it is lovely, it's the design idea is great, but this is what I mean by wanting the so-called wow factor without thinking about whether it's helpful or not. This strip is not really helping anyone. You can have a title saying how it works, and then you explain it to me without getting the screen reader stuck on that. Anyway, I don't want to sound negative, but anyway, hats off. But think how lovely it would be anyway with the clouds that don't move. You don't need for them to move.
What is the font there for better flow? It's kind of on the tip of my
It's
tongue, but I can't
called
grasp it.
It's on the, I can tell you. I think it's a new font. It's
I like
called,
it.
so hey, yeah, I think it's called New Spirit. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely sort of 70s kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of like Cooper Black or something similar.
Exactly. So lovely, so many lovely things about it. I would recommend just giving up the idea of all the things that move, because they're not very helpful. So if you want to learn more about how to use headings, there's a wonderful article by our very own Rian Rietveld. I hope I remembered how to pronounce her name correctly, because it's annoying when people don't. And she did tell me, because we interviewed her with Cloudways. So this is great article on the ally. I actually never know how to pronounce ally. I guess.
Oh
It's the
yeah,
one.
I yes.
I know the story of why it's called like that, but I have to say it makes it really difficult for me to read it, which is perhaps not the
Just A11Y.
ironic. Anyway, so this is a great article on accessible heading structure. It's super simple. It's got a too long didn't read as well. And write well-structured headings, because what is good for your reader is also good for your SEO. And I mean, what's better than that? If you can't convince your clients otherwise, convince them like this. And it just goes into the simplest of ways to explain how to use headings. Because to be honest, I've been like, I mean, I know that you can only have one heading one, but then like, okay, how many heading two can I
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
What do I do with three? You know, and now I think I have it. And basically, you could have a unique H1. Oh, hi, Paul.
Mhm.
Paul Lacey, I haven't spoken to for ages. So yes, I've developed a fixation, Paul. So it's very often going to be
He's
about
watching on catch
accessibility.
up, so he's probably
Yeah,
about 40 minutes behind us. So he won't hear
he
this.
is definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's quite funny, isn't it? It's like this dystopia. Anyway, so it's very, so best practice summarized. It's such a simple and useful article. Do not use an HTML heading just to make the text appear bigger or stand out.
Got it.
And this is, don't get me wrong, this is design. This is what design is about. Design is structuring things correctly. This is not necessarily development. And that's why I'm so fixated also with typography and designing with your words correctly, because it will lead to all this as well. If you know your typography, you do not get this wrong, and you don't style with headings. It's just because design isn't about styling. I won't go down that specific rabbit hole. So, and that's the thing that I have to say has been really interesting for me as a creative designer, transitioning to a totally creative way of seeing design to a UX and digital way of seeing design, which is much more about helping people than designing a film poster will ever be. So I thought that whenever I design something, I should be, you know, as creative as possible. But you can't do that on the web. And every time I find so I think that now the challenge for me is to help create designs that are imaginative in other ways, but not necessarily visually. It's a different type of creativity. It's creativity reimagined. Oh my God, should I write a
I
book?
like it.
Because
That sounds like a
uh,
URL.
I'll give you another example of a website that is amazing in so many ways, and yet it doesn't is it's not as helpful as it should be. It's this Dutch museum, the Frans Hals Museum, and this was about, it's another center text friend, but if you
Yeah.
can see, these are different containers, so it's centered along different containers, and it's really difficult to work out what the information is. And also you've got another container here, which is again centered. So the minute I align this, and this is, I promise, the last time.
You got it
Oh,
on
it's not.
just the first paragraph, but that'll
Yeah,
do
I
fine.
know. So again, that means, where is it? I don't need to always reinspect, but is it here?
Looks like the one.
Looks like, yeah, text align.
No,
Look,
it's being
there's
overridden somewhere
another.
else.
Anyway,
I
I
get
think
the point. Yeah.
I don't wanna, because I want to move on. And the other thing that we said we would talk about as a kind of a regular feature was dark patterns.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is so interesting to me. I
I really would like.
genuinely like get annoyed and frustrated by this a lot, and I see it being deployed a lot, especially around sales and trying to coerce you to, you know, never back out of something that you may have accidentally strayed into. Can you just, for people who are listening, can you just say what a dark pattern is? Because it may be that people don't know that phrase.
Exactly. So I have actually brought up the site that I think it's the guy who named them as dark patterns. That tricks, it explains it very clearly. They are tricks that are used in websites and apps. They make you do things that you didn't mean to, like
Yep.
buying or signing up for something, or that they bully you. They use language that diminishes you, that makes you feel stupid. You know, things like this. And you should. And I've seen people beyond suspicion using them because they think in good faith. There are a few people that still do it in sort of good faith because they think it's marketing, but it isn't. It's a dark pattern, and you shouldn't use it.
Can
And
I just say, I see this most often on mobile apps where the initial sign-in process is desperately trying to wrestle, either get you to sign up through something like Facebook so that they can plunge
yeah,
you
it
into
does.
some
Yeah,
sort of audience in their Facebook marketing campaign, or
yeah,
they desperately try to get your email address off you, and go to great length to hide the option to skip or whatever it might be.
yeah.
And you have to spend a long time searching around for, look, I know I can avoid this, but how do I avoid it? It's, oh, I see, the word skip is written in F6, F6,
Exactly,
F6 in the top right
exactly.
in font size 6.
Against a
So,
white background.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly,
That's the
yeah.
thing. So, and that's a dark pattern. So I don't know who's watching, but whoever's watching, feel free. In fact, we may add a box to that form,
Oh, we can do
Nathan,
that. Yeah,
saying,
yeah, yeah.
please tell us about a dark pattern that
Oh,
you found
great.
particularly irritating.
Okay.
Because this dark patterns, there is a dark patterns Twitter account, and that's what he does. He collects dark patterns. So usually, if I find one, I'll let him know because he names and shames. He has absolutely no qualms with dark patterns are something that is sort of unforgivable. But having said that, I do know people that I have caught people using dark patterns, like sometimes terrible ones, but they are lovely people. They just don't know. They think they're doing something clever, but they're
Yeah.
not. Just don't do it. It's bullying. And I brought up the Ryanair website because it's the airline that we love to hate, and they are the masters of this, the absolute masters of this. Because managed to
Oh,
avoid
yeah.
them. I
Look at
managed to
that.
avoid them for many years. I was able to avoid them because when I was living in London, I had a wide array of choices, so I didn't have to fly Ryanair, and actually, it wasn't even that cheap, so I didn't. But now that I live in Spain, basically Ryanair is more or less my only way of getting to Italy. So yeah, I'm screwed.
I
I
think
can
it's
only use them. So
really
okay,
fascinating choice of language there, isn't it? The first thing that you are confronted with is the typical kind of cookie pop-up, which is just, boy, how did we get to the point where that's now normal? And they use the words, we value your privacy,
it's hilarious. It's
followed by,
absolutely hilarious. We value your money a lot more, but because see, this is an example of a little bit of a dark pattern already because view cookie settings, and again you can't see my tip, but view cookie settings should be highlighted because it's what I should be doing now, but they want you to go, yes, I agree. And they know that and they make it yellow because it stands out much more. So, I'm just going to go, yes, I agree. They know everything about me now. Anyway, I mean, they've literally got my passport number. So it's not like
yeah, yeah.
there's much I can do. So I am going to just show you how the best thing would be if I were able to show you the whole process because a lot of the hurdles come when you are in the process of buying, which I'm not going to do because I can't give you my credit card number. But I'll give you an example. So usually I fly to Pisa. Pisa, here
Okay.
you are, Pisa. I haven't logged in. Choose a date, so which I actually would need to do soon because I need to go see my mum, but I don't know when. So okay, so far so good. Here it automatically, they are so anyway, some things are really clever. So when I click on search, if I've forgotten to click on this, they click it automatically because they assume that I have to agree anyway, otherwise I won't search. So I don't know whether that's actually complies with GDPR. I don't know.
What was there a little
So
checkbox there that you had to check before you could click the search, and it
yeah,
ticked it for you? Ah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
So I've only got one flight today. So one positive side effect of the various lockdowns is that flights are still really cheap. I used to have a few a day, and now I only have a few a week. But look how they are so cheap. So if I click on this, and then I click on this, and so far so good. But this is where it starts. So the way they make money is that they charge you extortionate amounts of money for stuff that, I mean, obviously, if I'm flying, I've got luggage. I still can't get over that the other airlines are now doing the same. Now, if I book on British Airways, it also puts the luggage aside, and I need to pay separate for that. And oh my God, how I resent it. Anyway.
It's really interesting because the price, which I'm guessing, if you took the cheapest possible option here, is £33.98. But they don't tell you the price on the other buttons. They just tell you that it's a certain amount more. And
On each flight.
you'd have to do the math there, wouldn't you?
But also look how small is on each flight. So these are all dark patterns. There are a number of dark patterns here because it's first of all the one that's cheapest is again the least visible. It feels like it makes you feel small, doesn't it?
That's a
the
really
value
good point.
travel light.
Yeah.
It makes you feel, God, do you really want the gray option? Oh, that is so sad. And look how plus, which is the one that they want, because I doubt that many people go for Flexi Plus, because if you go for Flexi Plus, you could fly Iberia, which again doesn't fly from here. You'd have to go to Madrid. But anyway, whatever. That's not the Ryanair market. And again, you can see what my mouse is on because it's of this light highlights the shadow.
Yeah.
But this is a big dark pattern. And now I was a little bit disappointed because they've slightly improved this process. A while ago, the hurdle, anyway, you'll see what it's like. So I decided, no, travel light. Actually, I have learned to travel light. If I go for a week, I can go. I know
in one
what
bag, yeah.
And it's not because I'm tight. It's just I don't want them to get my money. That's Then I'll go on the train and I'll go first class. I know, because in Italy there isn't that much difference. I'll always flash out on first class, but I resent their tactics so much. I won't even give it the benefit of the honor of calling it a strategy. So if I click on continue for 330.98. No! Why?
Oh my goodness, they're at it. Look at that.
This is terrible. I mean, what was there before was worse in a way, but this is even because it was more in your face and it had a photo and it was like, are you sure? And I have screenshots because I use them for my newsletter. But this is really, it's even worse because it's more subtle. And it's like, no, I've told you, I have not made a mistake. It was really clear. I've told you. So this is just to make you, do you see what I mean? It's like, no.
That you're going through additional hoops. You are literally going through the same hoop again.
So now I've said continue, or they really want me to log in. Look, even here, it's like log in later, see how tiny it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, whatever, it has to be my decision. Log in later. Okay, I'm gonna, again. So this annoys me no end. So we have a Mr., a Mrs., and a Miss. I'm none of these. I'm not a Mr., I'm not a Mrs., I'm not a Ms, because Ms is like a construct there. Why isn't there a Ms for Misters? I don't know. So you've already pissed me off. Sorry, another one's come out. Because what if I'm a doctor? What if I'm nothing? Just nothing at all. So anyway, I'm gonna do it for my cat. So she's called Fiora. Neri. Continue. Look at this. This is okay. This again, it's very. If you've never done this before, I bet that this is super confusing because it's like, oh, what am I looking at? I still get it wrong, and they want me to buy a seat because again, I find that hilarious. That are you gonna want me to stand up? I can't stand up on a plane. Why isn't the flipping seat included in my ticket? I understand paying more for better seats, but I should have a seat by default, and that should be an add-on to choose a better one.
Hold on. What? You're saying that... What? The €33 that you just agreed to, you can't get on the plane for that. You've got to buy a seat
No, no,
now.
no. You can, because you have the option. They assign the seat to you, and I'm in complete Ryanair, strike. And I usually, again, that's something that I don't mind paying for. But at the moment, I like, because I have no choice. I can only fly Ryanair. I never buy a seat. And normally I get really good seats. So that's because all these ones are all available. So, even the best ones are available. And sometimes they make some not available, but they are. And then you get them when you're on the plane, you get the seat at the front. So, so I've learned now, but it's really, even now that I've learned, it's really complicated. So I see how this is. I can't, it doesn't look like a button, does it?
No.
The only thing, so option to select seats later, and look how this up to 50% more expensive later, which is true. If you don't buy a priority or your luggage after, you know how much luggage is if you want to buy it a week before you fly, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, just not when you buy it. It's 44 euros per flight.
Okay.
So you add like another nearly 100 to your flight. Anyway, but this, let's stick to design. So here, I don't even know it's a button. I still get confused. I'm like, okay, I'll go here. Please be advised. Okay, so hurdle, continue without a seat. I know exactly what I'm doing. Look at this. This is where it gets someone who's not. So I'm like, you were asking me again. So they're asking me again. I've already made my bag selection. They're asking me again, which in a way you could say, yeah, we're trying to be helpful because maybe you've forgotten it. It's like, okay, no, I really definitely want sweat. Like, oh, please. And this comes up. This comes up. This
If you
comes up
bring
again.
a
The
second
threat.
bag,
The threat.
okay. So it's
Because you haven't thought of this through. You haven't thought this through. So you're like, no, definitely one small bag only. Definitely. Okay, finally, continue. And I'm actually always really scared. I'm like, I haven't logged in, have I? I can't accidentally buy a flight for my cat.
oh my goodness, I assumed we were through, but no,
No,
there's more.
are you joking? No, not even close to through. And you're like, what am I looking at? Because also they're not designing with typography. So see how many different things. I'm so distracted. This is one graphic treatment, another one, another one, another one, another one, another size, another. It's so confusing. There is no unity. Think about how clear Gumroad was and how difficult to pass this is. And like, what? Also, fast track in Valencia is utterly ridiculous. In Pisa, yeah, because it's the worst airport in the world, but in Valencia, makes no sense. So, and look at this, and how do I continue? How do I go to buy my flight? It's not possible. Where is it? Look, meal deal, tea time treat, prepaid credit, insurance. What? And here, tiny, you see, tiny, continue.
And you see, my fear at that point of clicking the continue button is I would have some sort of anxiety that something that I didn't look at has been automatically added.
Absolutely.
I'd
And
be
luckily
thinking
they
they've put
don't.
some basic insurance in or something, and I've got to go back through and check that I haven't clicked
That's
anything.
another dark pattern, and that's what Google do when you set up a meeting and they add the Google Meet automatically. You're like, no, I did. Why did you add it? And you have to turn that off in settings, and that's a dark pattern.
Yeah,
Luckily, they don't push it that far. But did you think we were there?
I thought we were there a long time ago. Now we've got to get a car.
Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. Are you driving to the airport? It's like, and again, really bad design here because there's way too much styling. It's so visually confusing. There's a lot of clutter and it's just not clear. And then, okay, no, but I take a taxi to the airport. My brother's picking me up. Will you please? This is purporting like under the guise of being helpful, and it just isn't. Now, finally, but have you? No, here I still get all this. Oh my God, I wanna honestly buy, and I am a consumed traveler. I travel, because of living abroad, I travel more than normal people do, and still.
Oh my goodness!
Honestly,
It looked like it was trying to sell
now.
you like sporting events and all sorts as well.
No, it's not like it looks like. It is. It is absolutely trying to sell me all this. It's just it's trying to sell me all this. And actually, they've changed this recently. Now I've got a basket where the trip is, and luckily this is visible. But if I am someone who has a color blindness problem, I don't know whether I would see this. Let me see if I've got an extension. I used to have a color extension. Is that no? That's a spoof. I used to have one. A color extension that allows you to see what a colorblind person would see. But I
Okay.
can tell you because the color blindness is doesn't see hue, and it's all about brightness. Mostly
Okay.
it's about brightness. So I just by my eye I can see the blue is a bit darker, but really it's quite a bright color. It's not a dark color. So chances are that I can see it's green, so I see it. But someone who's colorblind maybe is completely confused at this point because it's like, where, what have I bought the flight? What do I still haven't been able to buy the flight. So if I want to buy the flight now, I have to go all the way down. If I haven't seen this, I can go to view basket, but otherwise, and look how they want you to continue building the trip. That's so buy stuff. So if I now finally go to checkout, which is using a different language from what it was using before, so I'm confused. So I haven't been able to buy the flight now, and they won't let me carry on from here because they want me to log in, and I will not log in. But if you think that the hurdles are over, you are wrong. You are very wrong, Nathan, because they're not over. So I am kind of grateful to Ryanair because they provide me with, it's just you could fill an hour with
Yeah.
with more. I mean, or more. I mean, you could build a whole course on what not to do. And I'm now used to it. Like, no, 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 yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. I just do it.
It's
But
it's
they keep
really
adding.
it's really curious because I guess I'm imagining that a company of the magnitude of something like Ryanair that will have run the numbers and they'll have worked out that the inconvenience that they are causing
They don't
is
care.
economically worth it for them. But it is really interesting the amount of hurdles you have to go through. And I very rarely buy flights, so I've not yet come across anything quite as laborious as that. That was pretty astonishing, actually, the amount of
And it's
impediments that they put in your way.
Yeah, and like I said, it's by no means over. But I mean, they famously don't care about your well-being in the slightest, because then when you actually get, this is only a taster of what happens when you get to the airports and on the flights. They have got a bit better, to be fair to them. They have. I mean, they were when they started, it was super exciting because I was living in London and I was suddenly able to go to Italy very cheaply. So to be fair, I was grateful to them. And then it started becoming hell on earth, also because in London they leave from Stansted mostly, which is really that's my idea of hell. And so I started boycotting them at that point because I had had a few really truly ghastly experiences, and there was so much backlash that they have improved the service. It's not a nightmare now, but still there are so many little details meant to make you uncomfortable. They
Yeah,
really are.
it's a curious thing. Peter, with regret, I'm going to have to knock
Yeah,
this
of
on the
course.
head because I've got things that I've got to do in about 5 minutes' time. Oh, that's it. That's
Absolutely.
perfect. I'm going to add that to the form for the next one that we do. Not only will you be able to add your own site, but you'll also be able to add in a dark pattern. That would make this quite interesting if we did one dark pattern, one positive website, and what have you. That'd be really nice.
I
Um,
know.
I'm gonna post this out next week. Sorry, probably tomorrow. Actually, I don't know why I said next week. And Piccia will be able to post it to her socials and what have you. I'll add it to our newsletter, which goes out on Monday. But we haven't got a date for this next week. But if you are curious and you want to figure out when it is, if you just go to, let me just put that page up, the little caption. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go. wpbuilds.com
I think we
/UI.
said last Tuesday of the month is what we said.
That sounds
So
about right.
if we can stick to that, that would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. I really enjoyed that. It's a nice start
Thank
to
you
the
so
season.
much.
Yeah, we'll be back in a month's time or 4 weeks' time or whatever it is. And but for now, I'm going to have to run. But thank you, Piccia.
Thank you, Nathan, for having me as usual. Bye
Yeah.
bye.